So the question is it worth it to write a novel that no one's going to read? Maybe if you're lucky, a friend will read it or a couple family members, but at the end of the day, not many people are going to read it. So is it worth it putting all that blood, sweat, and tears and years of your life into something that maybe only you and a couple people you know will ever read it and appreciate it? Now, before I tell you my answer, I'm going to skip to the ending, and I have to say, absolutely, it is worth finishing that novel. So, it took me 17 years to finish my novel that I'm proud enough to share with other people. A lot of my writing I couldn't even show to other people. 17 years. And I started when I was 18 and I rewrote it 4 times. Um, and I wanted to burn that novel. I wanted to trash it. I hated it. I hated it as much as I hated myself. And, but at the same time, it gave me this hope when I was lonely and depressed, or I just, I felt so unworthy. It gave me this hope that one day I would I would be worthy. One day, I'd be, I'd feel it would give me. I thought it would give me this confidence. If it published and I got all this money, I would have respect. I'd get a girlfriend. Maybe I'd get married. I would feel successful. I wouldn't feel like a loser anymore. And it so I didn't publish it and I didn't, finally format it and do the artwork and design it and it looks professional now, but I didn't get that done. I didn't finish that novel until I was 35, 17 years. I didn't work on it every single year. There were spaces where I would just kind of tinker with it and I thought it was done. But it was always in the back of my mind and I felt this weight on my shoulders, this nagging feeling telling me to finish it. And it wasn't necessarily a bad feeling. It it was like this. If you're a writer, and if you're watching this, you might be a writer. You probably are. We have this desire. We're born with this desire. This desire, and I don't know if it's a curse or a blessing, or maybe it's just a curse. But we have this desire to express ourselves. We want to tell the world about our emotions, about our lives, you know, and and we have things to say and we want to express it to the world. And you have, so the only way to do that is to write that novel and finish it. Otherwise you're always gonna feel this this feeling, this pressure that you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Now, there's nothing wrong with coming home and drinking a beer or drinking wine and unwinding and watching a movie or your favorite show, just living your life. We're all cogs in a machine in this capitalist world. And, um, you know, so, punishing yourself with writing all the time, which is work, you don't, I'm not saying you should do that. It's okay to just live your life. But if you're a writer, you feel you have this desire that you can't get rid of. And at times when some of my lowest points, the hope that the story would publish and all these good things would happen to me, um, it gave me strength. And it's funny because when it got published, when I published, well, it didn't get published. I mean, I published it myself. Um, not no one knows about it. You know, no one reads it. It doesn't matter if it's on Wattpad or Amazon. No one knows about it. And and all those things that I was expecting, they didn't happen. But the funny thing is, after all those years, I had gained, confidence, in the last couple of years, right now I'm living overseas teaching English. And, I went to school later in life and got my bachelor's degree so I could go overseas and teach English. And it's not as big of a deal that I'm not making all this money, but I do feel like I'm proud of my story. And I never even gave it a shot at promoting it. I'm doing that right now. That's why I started a YouTube channel. I don't even have an Instagram or a TikTok account. So this is me just trying to, you know, put a spotlight on my work. And you know, I it may do nothing. YouTube. I might get a couple views or something like that, but I'm gonna keep on, making videos, and I'm gonna give tips on creative writing. Um, and occasionally talk about, my story because I am 35, so I spent quite a long time, developing this skill as a writer. And you can read it for free on Wattpad. So I have links in the video, and if you just click on my account, you'll see links to Wattpad and also links to the US and UK Amazon store for the Kindle version and the hard copy, the paperback. And it's sold globally on Amazon. I just put the links for US and UK because I can't put all the links there. Um, but I don't care if you purchase it. You could read it for free on Wattpad. And if it's interesting enough, you could buy the Kindle version or the paperback because it looks more professional and it's nicer than reading it on Wattpad. Um, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is just to tell you that it's worth it. You know, it's a feat. Most people can't write a novel, and you will become a much better writer. You'll you'll develop, you'll like even just your communication, like to spend so many years writing and thinking about sentences and how to say it a certain way, how to say this, how to describe something a certain way. Like you become a better communicator. I don't know how good of a communicator I am, but I've gotten better, much better than what I used to be. Um, I'm kind of rambling on at this point, but um, yes, it's worth it. I was trying to make this video really impactful, say the right things, and um, I'm not sure if I have, but I have a lot of tips about creative writing, and you could just check the story out on Wattpad for free because if you don't like my writing, you're like, hey, I don't want to listen to anything this guy says. But I think uh, I think writing a novel, like it's it's such a feat. It's such an accomplishment. I have so much respect for someone who can do that. And it's not something many people can do. The discipline, the strength, you have to push through a lot of doubt. A lot of doubt. And I had so much doubt. And that book is so important to me because I always felt because the book it's strange writing it after all these years like coming back to it because there's so many years that I tinkered with it but I just didn't want to touch it anymore. And I matured and I changed in my life and going back, but those feelings of being unworthy, of feeling of self-hatred, of wanting to just off yourself all the time and just so much self-hatred. Like those feelings were real, and it was such a big part of my life. And at times, it's you can't run away from it. It still comes back. I've gotten better, but that anxiety and those terrible feelings, Like they were, even though it's fiction, science fiction slash horror slash weird, I don't even know what genre you want to call it. But, I mean, the best fiction is truth when you have truth in the fiction, truth in the lies. You have, it's fiction, but it has a lot of real emotions, a lot of real feelings in it, and my story does. And um, it means a lot to me. And, we live in a big, big, wide world, and I'm positive, 110% positive that there's a lot of people like me, and that a story like that will resonate with other people. It has to. It would be, to say that I'm so unique compared to other people, is almost is silly to say that. I'm sure there's tons of people like me. And so I'm sure there's people out there that would appreciate the story. Now, you have to get it out though, and that's why I'm making this YouTube video. Maybe I'll finally have an Instagram account or TikTok account, which I've never had. Um, I guess it shows, I'm 35, so I don't know. There's plenty of 35-year-olds and older than I am, people older than I am that have those accounts. But I feel like, I just always was just I had nothing to show for my life. I always felt it was boring. But now I'm trying to push my story out, and most of these videos I'm gonna just describe, give you some tips on creative writing. Again, you can check out the story in the links, in the under the video, and it's free. You don't have to pay for anything. The Amazon Kindle and paperback is just for people that would rather have that version than read it on Wattpad because it does look better. Wattpad, I just put it up there and it's not. It looks nice. It's very like it's perfect on the EPUB on Kindle as an ebook, and it's perfect as a physical copy, as a hard copy. But so it just looks better, and I don't know. Maybe a couple people will buy it. And I just rambling again. Um, anyway, um, I don't know if that was helpful, but I hope it was in some way. And my other videos I think they'll be a little more concise, a little more specific about, I'm going to describe, you know, um, some methods to creative writing. Um, anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.